All right, back here in New York, Steve Darling with Jim Cacioppo. He's the chairman of Jushi Holdings. And Jim, great to see you. How are you?
Thanks, Steve. Doing well, given all the hoops we have to jump through these days. Doing well.
Yeah, it's a very interesting time, and we'll get into that in just a second. But when I first looked at your company and specifically your name, I found it very unique. Why don't you sort of give me a bit of the backstory around the name of your company?
So when you start a company, this is my third or fourth rodeo in terms of starting companies, and it actually is very difficult coming up with names. So I was searching around the web, and I pretty quickly came upon Jushi, and it really is a kingdom in China, and that was the first known medicinal use of medical cannabis. And in fact, there was a shaman buried, and in his tomb there were herbs around him that still had a very high degree of potency 2,700 years later. So first medicinal use of marijuana, the great kingdom of China with, such a big economy. I just thought it was the Eastern medicine, and I just thought it was a fantastic name and just jumped on it.
Super interesting. I mean, that's we always hear these stories about how people come up with names, and to come up with that and just see that is really, it's super interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your compliment.
Let's talk a bit about the company itself. What sort of differentiates you from other cannabis and hemp companies?
So I think we were started as a management-centric company. So I had been investing for a number of years, several years in the cannabis industry, running a hedge fund. Was very early on in the sector, did some very good investing, cashed out of a lot of things. And then I thought the next big play was these multi-state consolidation plays. Invested in a couple of early ones where I noticed the management teams weren't particularly strong. And in fact, I thought they were quite weak. I invested because the valuations were just so low. My background is distressed debt investing. So I did that for 25 years as a hedge fund manager. So, managing multi-billion-dollar funds. So I have a lot of experience in judging investments, judging management teams, and looking at, capital-intensive businesses like this. And so what I decided to do was start a company that had capabilities to raise large amounts of capital with a strong management team to manage the entities. We've raised $185 million in about 2 years, which is pretty dramatic as a startup. 40 million of that has come from management and the founders, which is obviously a lot. So similar to how you work a private equity fund or a hedge fund, both of which I've run at large, very significant levels. You put your money where your mouth is, and that's how we convince people to come along with us. Is sort of partnering up with the management team. So I think that's one of the key differences right now.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because, I've interviewed a lot of companies like yours. And the one thing they say is, we've got this great grower, or we've got this great person that knows about this, but the structure of the company is a challenge. It seems like you've gone the other way and created a great structure and then built on that.
Exactly. So the key is, I notice these companies, there are a bunch out there. I don't necessarily want to name them, but that are running out of money, that have very, very good footprints. And so, we have the very strong balance sheet. We had 70 million on our balance sheet at year end. We had about a $50 million financing that we closed in January and December. One of the few management teams that did that. And, I'm very proud that we were able to do that, but that gives us a very enviable position for a very, very strong balance sheet. And, but not just financial types. We did an acquisition. We went public, just to build on what you said about, we started with an investment philosophy, risk management, being able to put a portfolio of companies together, and we've expanded upon that. And as part of going public, we did one acquisition that was just cannabis management. It's this company in Colorado, which is the first legal market. They've been in business since 2009. We didn't buy the Colorado assets because you weren't allowed to, and we didn't view that as a very strong market for us. But what we did do was buy the management team, the IP, the brands, and the SOPs. And it was a significant thing we've done. We have our HQ2. Amazon has their HQ2. I guess it's in Northern Virginia, right? The HQ2 Fairfax. We have our HQ2 HQ2, our headquarters is in Boca Raton, Florida, and our HQ2 is our cannabis operating team with over 15 people in Denver, Colorado.
Then, of course, comes COVID-19, and it sort of throws the world everywhere into turmoil. You're in a very enviable position because you are considered an essential service. So, explain to us how COVID-19 has affected your business, and what sort of steps you have to try and get through this.
Sure. So we're in about 7 states. 3 are the main states that we're in, and I'm going to talk about those. And just, so you understand, we have this, financial management team. We have the capital raising abilities resulting in a strong balance sheet. The operating team, our Denver, the clinic staff, and then our footprint's very important to us. Like, we believe we're in the best state that you can be in right now. Certainly for a company our size. 3 of our states are Illinois, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. So very different, but Illinois just went rec. The sales are off the charts in Illinois. If you bring a store rec, there's a lot of demand. Very good structure in that state for the owners of assets. In Pennsylvania, it's probably the best medical market along with Florida. We have a footprint of 50. In Illinois, we have 4 stores. In Pennsylvania, we have a footprint of 15 stores. 6 are currently built out and operating, and we have 1 or 2 more coming quite shortly. And then the third is Virginia, where we have a monopoly in the northern sector of the state called Novo, the Northern Virginia, and it's where Fairfax is, where Amazon's HQ2 is. We're building a 90,000 square foot plant that will have many dispensaries and delivery capabilities. So those are our 3 main states. We were deemed an essential service by the state of Pennsylvania and Virginia and Illinois. They have a different terminology in each state, but essentially it's the essential service, as you stated. So in Illinois and Pennsylvania, we can keep our stores running. And there's been a good demand, very good demand. There was an initial surge, but people worried they couldn't get it. And then in Virginia, we're able to keep our construction project going along, which is very important, so we could open it up as we planned on this summer. So we're in good shape. And what we've done to maintain the stores open is obviously, and also for the safety of our employees and customers, is just implement the standards that you have to implement. It's pretty clear what the CDC recommends. We check with the state's regulatory agencies to make sure they're comfortable with that, if they have any additional things. And then we work with the states and we work with other companies in the sector to see what they're doing, make sure that if they have better ideas. We've all operated as a team to keep employees and customers safe, meaning the industry. I think the industry's come together and said, let's win on this one. Let's do the right thing. And so we're doing like curbside delivery in both Illinois and Pennsylvania in certain places where we can safely do that. In Philadelphia, downtown, we can't do curbside, so we do it. We created a safe spot where the transaction can happen, where the customer comes into the store and doesn't have to have a lot of contact with other people. We've also implemented the 6-foot or more distancing if people are waiting on lines. We have medical only hours in the Illinois, in the rec state, where for the first hour of each day, all medical only. Also medical Mondays in Illinois, only medical in our rec store in adult use store in Illinois. And we call it wisdom hours in Pennsylvania. So the first hour of the day is just for people over 50 years old. So it's our way of not calling people seniors, because I'm over 50. I don't feel like a senior, but it's the wisdom. We have the wisdom. So we've done stuff. We've gotten masks, we've gotten goggles, we've gotten gloves, and we've tons of cleaning equipment. We had to go on eBay to get it because there was shortages. We have frequent calls, multiple calls weekly at the most senior level and down the organization to understand if there's been some problems that we have to deal with, get employees tested and those types of things. Luckily, knock on wood, we've had no employees actually have COVID-19 to our knowledge.
So Jim, one last question. I know you're listed on the OTCQX market and under the ticker symbol JUSHF. Can you talk a little bit about what this does for your company and the exposure you get in the United States?
Right. So we actually press released it at the time when we got it. I believe it was October of last year. It was very important. We had a lot of investors very focused on that because these stocks tend to be somewhat illiquid by their nature, smaller market cap situations, a new industry that not a lot of people own, federally illegal, so you can't go public in the U.S. So it's hard to get out there to everybody, create the liquidity that a stock needs. We viewed getting JUSHF, JUSHF as a ticker symbol on the OTC is very, very important to add to liquidity and trading volumes in our stock and attracting investor interest. One of the main ways that helps is it really opens up all the discount firms. So E-Trade, for example, and those types of firms, you could trade in our stock. And most of our U.S. Friends and investors that we know of, that's how they do it. They do it through the OTC line item. But we also trade in cannabis still, and that's a pretty liquid line as well.
Well, there you go. And yeah, and the CSC under JUSH. So, Jim, I really appreciate the time today. Thanks for joining us. Good to talk to you and learn a bit more about the company and all that you're doing, and especially keeping your workers safe. I think it's really a great thing that you and the company are doing and keeping operating. So thanks very much. Great to see you, and stay safe, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. There's Jim Cacioppo. He's the chairman of Jushi Holdings.